Good times, fuckerinos. Uh, welcome to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. Um, this is being recorded immediately after you did what? So just have that fun little bit of context. Yeah. Hi, I'm RJ. I'm playing Decimal still. Uh, if the other person in this FPS would like to introduce themselves.
I'm Kraken. I'm playing Craigory still.
Yep. If you haven't listened to you do what, go listen to that one first, because this is immediately off the back of that. So, but with less further ado, Decibel is going hunting, by which I mean he is off the back of that conversation with Matthias, going to go find his warlock, because he, to all fucking surprise, is concerned. He's a
Wow.
little bit concerned.
Just a little bit.
I hadn't thought him capable, but here we are. So, yeah, he's going to go find Craigory. And I have been informed that there is a wizard tower in Network now. So that's where he's going to go looking.
It seems the logical place. Craigory managed to take his leave at some point after, doing some jokesy jokes, diffusing the situation, and then fucking off.
Yeah, he sure did. We can't escape from these bitch ass eyes though. So yeah, Decibel is gonna go. Is there like a door at the bottom of this tower? What's the kind of situation with the placement here?
I'm just going to have to make up the specifics on the fly here. What I say will become canon, I suppose. I think it is a little bit disconnected from the main house. I think, like in whatever backyard or garden there is, it would be like walking from a house to a shed in the backyard, except the shed is a small tower. Like, not towering, but you look and you kind of go like, it's kind of a wizard tower. Like, it is city coded. Zoned approval.
It looks like a wizard tower if someone fucking right-click transformed it and then just squished it.
It is well sized for the environment that Network is in, and Halloween Town appropriate.
Spooky, almost definitely crooked in some places.
Oh, for sure. Like the classic, you've got to go up a spiral staircase to get to the top, and it's no more than like 2-story climb. I think in the silhouette of Network, it'd only be just a bit taller.
Nods. That's what we'll knock on the door. Because he's not been in the wizard tower before. And then if there's no answer in like 10 seconds or so, he's just gonna try and open the door.
It is locked.
Not anymore. That's
not even 5 seconds later.
Yeah, I don't need to add a guidance. It's a fucking 18 on the dice plus like at least 8, at least 9. We're in the high 20s here.
Good chunk.
He will open the door this time for realsies.
Now I must ask, is this the door that would lead to like a staircase that goes spiral up, or is like this the door that would lead to the room at the top of the wizard tower where the wizard presumably resides?
It is whatever door is on the front of this bitch ass tower.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
I
I
leave
think
that up to
Decimal's
you.
then just gotten to, like, the staircase. It is unfortunately not very, currently at least, necessarily very accessible to someone who may or may not be having a bad pain day. I don't know what Decimal's at. It's
Well,
not a
he's at
long
2 at the
set of
moment,
stairs.
so it's not terrible. But he looks at it and then just kind of sighs quietly under his breath and starts climbing.
The things he's willing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just tucks his cane under one arm, and uses the wall as a crutch instead.
Cool. There is another door at the top. It is once again locked, and I think it is somewhat obvious that there is also like an arcane lock or mechanism of some kind as well.
Knock, knock, knock.
It's like a shuffling inside, but it's kind of like the movement of someone who's like stilling to pretend that they're not there.
Craigory, I can hear you.
Shouldn't you be with Matthias?
He and I have talked. I'm now here to talk to you. We might have a new difference in our relationship, but that's not going to stop you from being your patron, being your friend.
Good. The second edition does head off what was going to be like a almost like sarcastic and maybe bitter, like, oh, is that what patrons do? But addition of friend, I think another short pause before there's footsteps and sense of whatever magic was on this door being dispelled and then lock sliding. And Craigory, he doesn't like quite step aside to invite Decimal. It's more the sense of like someone kind of peering out and just like, what do you need?
I'm aware that this is going to sound incredibly trite coming from me, but are you okay?
Head tilts, waggles. To his credit, Craigory seems to think about it. Well, this is also going to sound convincing, but I'm all right, okay?
You're right, it doesn't sound convincing, because I don't believe you. I was expecting more anger in there. I'm not entirely certain that you're not angry.
Squint. It's like the sort of thing where someone's sort of half peering through the door and Kruger's just squinting at them. You would. Are you saying you would prefer me to be mad?
Not necessarily. But I would prefer if you were angry with me and not with him. And I'd rather you be angry with me and showing it than letting it fester. or perhaps worse, trying to hide it to save my feelings. But I don't know if that's what's going on here.
Your feelings are stronger than that, buddy. It's not a point to it's done, it's happened. Frankly, I don't know that there was a good way for it to happen, so now that it has, fine, it's fine. We just move forward from here. It's good.
Roll insight with advantage.
I'm really glad that, yeah, nat 20.
Perfect. Yeah, no, this is not an expression you've really ever seen on Decimal's face. There's a slight, like, all of Decimal's expressions are subtle. This one is incredibly subtle, that it would be so easy to miss. But there's a slight pinch to his brow, slight, like, wincing narrowing of his eyes. Just the faint angle of his head. You put it together. He looks concerned about you specifically, and he just goes, "It is done, and we should put it behind us at some point. But I don't think you're as fine about it as you're trying to make out to be."
Craigory's going to open door and shuffle back.
He will walk in. Close the door over behind him.
Yeah. This sure is a wizard tower. There's a bookcase full of very wizardly looking tomes. There's something or other like bubbling in container on the desk. A general disarray, which kind of tracks with Craigory, but for further that, roll perception, or perception.
Or I'll roll a perception. That's a natural 20. That's a 33.
Jesus. Well, you're going to get some extra with that.
Yay!
Yay. It's, on the surface, I said very classically, this is a wizard space. There's mysterious magic-y things here. Ooh, stuff in progress and stasis, and who knows what that is. But what's been messed with recently, in the last, however long it was away that Craigory exited the confrontation that has happened, that is at the desk. And it's all, who knows what the fuck Craigory's writing in there, but it's, when you look at someone's handwriting and you can just tell they're in a snit, in a mood, like, pencil nearly piercing through the paper, stuff is scratched out, just evidence of frustration. And just because it's a nat 20, I think it's fine. Decimal never saw Wizard Hut. No one really saw Wizard Hut. But between this and Decimal coming up here and being concerned, Craigory's kind of treating this like Wizard Hut at the moment. When shit goes bad, when Craigory's mad, frankly, he's always retreated to wizard hut, and this is the closest thing to it he has right now.
Mm-hmm.
When he
Nothing's
feels
gonna.
the need to get out and leave, there was always wizard hut, which is gone and destroyed, and that's probably a good thing. But now there's this, and it's in home, so like it's fine, right? This is totally a fine instinct or coping mechanism or whatever you want to call it. It's not isolation if everyone's like, right there downstairs or whatever.
Hmm. Decimal mentally comparing Craigory's habit here and a couple habits that Decimal has. Like, yikes. There is something wrong with you that is also wrong with me. I don't think he says anything about it initially. He just kind of walks in and closes the door behind him. If there is an obvious place he can sit down, he will. Elsewise, he's just gonna kind of hover by the door.
That's really funny. There are 2 chairs in here. One is like adult sized and one is kid sized. It's obviously for Rye, smaller person.
Is Craigory sat on the adult-sized chair?
Uh, I think for funnies, yes, he is. He's kind of stepped back and kind of just almost kind of collapsing there. And because he's kind of in his own head, he's not thinking about any kind of considerate. So the only chair available is the Rye-sized chair at the moment.
Decimal is going to stand then. he's just going to lean against one of the walls and a little bit on his cane. Try and take some of the weight off his leg as much as he can. He's being subtle about it. He's not gonna call Decimal.
Yeah.
He's not gonna force Craigory out of his own goddamn chair in his own goddamn room. But
It's not calling attention to it.
yeah. He's just waiting. He's just waiting for whatever Craiger's gonna do.
Whatever
Names.
Kraken's gonna do. Haha.
What is Kraken gonna do?
Craiger doesn't say anything for a few moments, and like fingers are tapping on the desk. There's a restlessness now that he kind of didn't have before. This is more. Restlessness is a more typical Craigory state, at least. Just like, I know it's stupid, but I do wish like it had been discussed in general before dropping that on him.
That's fair.
I know I'm not like, I don't know, in chart, like, I don't know.
You wanted to say in it, and you weren't able to have that say. And that has upset you. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, that is, yeah, that's articulated, yeah. I'm sure you don't do things impulsively, so it's not like I can even accuse you of just doing things willing. I'm pissed and I shouldn't be, alright?
Why shouldn't you be?
Because it doesn't make sense. Like, it was all, this was gonna happen eventually, right? Like, and I don't know when the right time would have been anyway.
Well, perhaps you didn't. But if you had gotten your wish and we discussed it beforehand, other people would have been able to make that call for you.
Insight, actually.
Roll insight, okay. That's a 7, so it's a 10, so 23.
Jeez. Craigory makes a funny little face at that. At the specifically the yeah, if like some people in general had sort of come together and had a discussion about like, okay, when and how are we going to like break this to Matthias? Yeah, there could have been a sort of ideal situation that comes up, and what Gregory realized in the moment as Decimal said that is that that's still kind of pissed him off, and he didn't really realize until that moment that like he kind of had the instinct to actually like, well, it should have been me who told him. He doesn't quite know what to do
There's
with
a
that.
slight eyebrow raise. Yeah, there is a slight eyebrow raise. Feelings are very rarely logical. Usually the way that you feel has some sense to it, to you. Even though it's not a sense you can comprehend under the guise of logic. Very rarely it is that one can control how they feel about something. Usually what is controlled is how they react to that feeling and what they do with that feeling.
Which I guess then brings me back around to you expected me not to have the self-control and not what? I don't know. Get mad? Was I not
I expect
controlling my reactions enough?
I expected you to be upset, and you didn't seem to be upset in that room as much as I expected you to be.
Isn't that a good thing? It's like
Not
maturity or whatever.
not necessarily. There's being mature, and then there's regardless. My expectation was not for your reaction, it was for your base instinct. Lest you forget, I make my living on reading people, Craigory. I've gotten very good at it. And you are you are someone who is you I would not have taken you as a warlock if I your state, your emotional...
Craigory's starting to look a little bit concerned at the sheer amount of tongue-tiedness that appears to be going on.
Decibel tried to say, I care about you, asshole, and finds itself incapable.
Just don't hurt yourself, jeez.
You are part of a very small group of people that have found myself looking to frequently. When something is awry with one of that group, it will inevitably affect me as well.
Don't get...
Very clearly not what he wanted to say, but that's how he
Yeah.
ends up saying it eventually.
I don't get how me reacting to something rationally is a problem, though. That's not awry. Awry would be yelling. I guess I don't want to yell at Matthias. I don't.
Just because you aren't yelling doesn't mean that you aren't angry. I'm not asking you to yell at him. I'm not asking you to yell at me. He like kind of rubs at his temples and uses the moment where his eyes are covered to like not look at Craigory and go, I want to be sure that you are okay. Because you seemed off.
I was caught by surprise for sure.
Sorry, say again?
I was caught by surprise for sure. Which, and not a fun surprise either.
Right. Why did you feel like it had to be you who made the call?
It's a complicated look on Craigory's face because he's not entirely sure himself. So he's kind of almost thinking aloud, as he is wont to do. Stupid, but I found him. He's my responsibility. Thrall was my patron. Like we've all been hurt, or hurt is coming to us from them, but I know what they are like. It was my responsibility. Found him, I brought him here, and I wasn't sure how good an idea that was, and I was, ready to eat that consequence if it was not good. And responsibility also meant just handling this. And, like, I don't know, finding out that there's kind of like another you out there that's like that it, like out of everyone, wouldn't I know what that's like best, or knowing that you're not like the other person, you've you know become something different than what you were meant to be, or I guess Matthias's case, like he is what he's meant to be, and Thrall is someone that diverge. Like it, he feels like my responsibility.
You found Matthias. You were the Thrall's paid. You were the Thrall's warlock. If there is a responsibility there, it was not taken by your choice. You had warlockhood forced upon you. You stumbled into Matthias without intent to seek him out. You hadn't even known he existed.
I ran from him.
From
First time I
Matthias.
saw. Yeah.
It's not an understandable reaction. I think the only person who didn't was me. And my relationship with him is different to the rest of you. Always has been.
It's stupid to feel this way, so whatever. I guess roll another fun little insight.
That's 12, so that's a 25.
Part of the reason why perhaps this whole bombshell didn't go the way Decimal expected is that Craigory is mad and pissed and doesn't quite know what to do with himself, and wasn't quite sure why he is reacting this way. It's mostly, at least right now, he is mad at himself, and that is part of the reason why he didn't lash out at Decimal, not at Matthias. It's aimed at himself. Like a frustration that he knows this is kind of a stupid way to be thinking and feeling and acting, and it's the knowing it and the frustration that knowing it doesn't resolve it.
Decibel is going to change tack a little bit, and he's gonna kind of like straighten up from the wall, hands on his cane's grip, and just go, put aside for a moment how stupid you feel, and just say whatever it is that you need to say to describe this emotion. For once, I'm not going to rib you on anything that you say in this conversation. Because while you may feel like feeling a certain way is stupid, that in and of itself is foolish. You're going to feel how you're going to feel regardless of what you want to do about that. So.
You sure it's Peace who's the therapist?
He doesn't dignify that with a response.
Besides, it was basically a deflection on Craigory's part anyway. Better not to engage, else he tried to spin this all away. I don't know. Decimal is well acquainted with not knowing what the fuck he is feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows that Craigory's now currently kind of wrestling with the same thing, finding words and articulating what the hell is going on. Felt like my responsibility and duty to break this to him as best I could. But even then, I didn't know when that would be or what time that was, and I have thought the same before, and all that did was put Cassius and I in hot water and upset Lynn, and he's kind of grimacing even as he says this, and it got, I'm grateful, truly, this, it got you involved, and I don't regret that, but it pulled, I'm realizing I'm not good at actually knowing when to act on things, and just sitting on it, waiting. Matthias was right. I shouldn't have been thinking that it's my right to decide things for him and keep things from him, and I'm mad because I'm a hypocrite.
How are you a hypocrite?
My entire beef with Toontown's Wizard Guild chapter. I went in there with the promise that I would be able to have access to resources and information that I didn't before. I was looking for answers, and frankly, my aunt was trying to keep me busy and occupied. I was promised resources and I didn't get them. I was promised answers and I was barred, and I don't want to be the kind of person that bars access to things. But he wouldn't have been ready much earlier than this. Let's be real, right? Unless you know something I don't.
I'm not sure I'm capable of making that judgment. You were young, and you were perhaps a touch arrogant.
Stupid.
But since then, you've grown. And you discover that there is a reason for need to know.
If you wanted me to be angry, you should have come found me when I was young and didn't know any better.
I think you are still angry. I think you just don't like it.
Who likes being angry? What can I say? It's not good.
There are certain benefits to being angry, as I'm sure your own partner could attest. But that's not what I mean, Craigory. What I mean is that you seem to focus on anger being this violent thing, obstinate and tantruming, almost. There are other kinds of anger too. None of them is any better or worse than the others. I think you don't like how visibly angry you used to be. I think you don't like how you used to be in general.
I was a real piece of work.
You were a teenager. Every teenager is a piece of work.
I mean, true, and the point is we grow past that.
Yes. You have matured since then. And that's part of what's making you angry now. You said it yourself. You feel like a hypocrite. And maybe it is hypocritical of you, but you had a point too. Maybe it wasn't right for it to be your call, but ultimately it was your call. That he wasn't ready. Out of all of us, I think you probably were in the best position to make that call. Having been the one to find him, see where he came from, and being the only one in... being the one in the closest position to him. I thought he should have known from the start, but I said it to him and I'll say it to you. I'm not equipped to make that choice. When I found out I was a fate, that's what led to me being at the harbor that day, when I got kidnapped. I was going to go back and confront Lucian regardless.
Gregory has a look on his face that could be succinctly described as like, shit. He's also kind of frowned as he realizes another thing, / finds the words for it. Responsibility is one word, but I guess the other is... I think I want it to be just in control of how it went down and...
You wanted to be what? Sorry, you cut out in the middle of that.
Ha. He was saying that he realized he wanted to be in control of how this went down, and the fact that he wasn't, and it suddenly happened. Well, obviously he could have reacted worse for sure, but
Yeah.
just the grappling with, like I kind of felt entitled to being in control of Matthias. That's not a fun sentence. Responsibility feels like a better word, but like control also fits, and he doesn't like that.
No one likes to be surprised by someone having getting your choices thrown in your face like that isn't pleasant. Even with forewarning. Usually responsibility comes tied in with authority, so the control thing isn't really so much as...
I think he's had well enough of being controlled, don't you?
Certainly. It's not cruel to want to be able to control information flow. It's normal. Dare I say perhaps even natural. I do it all the time.
But I could have. We had information that could have helped him, and I did not give it. And that is what I hated. That is what made me angry the most when I was young and dumb and full of spitfire. There were people who had resources to help me, and they kept it from me.
Yeah.
I don't like that I basically did the same. So he's right to call me out on that.
This isn't a situation with a clear and distinct correct path and incorrect path.
Part of what makes it
You
frustrating,
did the
isn't it?
best. Yes, you did the best that you could with the information available to you. Really, if you're going to blame yourself like that, then it should be apportioned to all of us. We all fell in line with it, even if we disagreed. But it's rather useless to think that way. You said it yourself, what is done is done. Though, I should correct you on something else you said earlier. I wasn't sure if I was going to tell him up until I made the decision to tell him.
I didn't figure you were plotting behind my back or whatever. I don't think that of you.
You should. I'm fully capable.
You're
There are
capable, but you aren't.
there
Not
are
about
times
this.
when I will. There are times when I will. There are times when I have.
Yep.
You must never forget no matter how much I appear to be more docile than I used to be, I'm not a good person. I will manipulate people if it suits me.
I know. And I trust you anyway, so, deal with it.
Foolishness. But that's not what we're here to discuss.
What are we discussing at this point? Okay, not gonna lie, been helpful. Okay, I've articulated some things. I've realized some maybe not nice things, and now I can deal with them. So that's okay, good. Mission accomplished.
Just make sure you deal with them better than your partner deals with some of her things. The last thing we need is yet another repressed idiot.
You know the face people make in Soul Eater?
No, I've never seen Soul Eater.
I'll link in here. There's a particular grimace. Yeah, no, one Lin spiraling was enough.
Oh. Yeah, lol, okay, I know what you mean now. I love how that's just a generated result on Google. Okay, that's a rabbit hole I'm gonna look at later. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, no, I get the expression now.
Eeg. No, no, definitely. One of that was enough. Yep. I
Yep.
will do my best.
Good.
It's.
Hang on, I have to roll aerospace for this. Oh no!
Oh no!
My boy, why have you been fumbling so much recently? Where's your fucking aerospace table gone? What is that? He reaches into his coat pocket and then comes out with a small brazier, like you burn incense in. And he just kind of sighs, puts it back, and begins rummaging around in there. Okay, great. He pulls out a little card thing that he then flicks over to you. It's a business card for peace.
Jesus Christ.
I'm getting way more mileage out of those things than I thought I ever would. Honestly.
You've been handing them out like candy at points.
You all fucking need them.
Craigory will not deny it, but he will not directly answer.
Anyway, the point is, there are people you can talk to who will do this shit far better than I would.
I think you're doing a pretty alright job.
Result to disagree on that one.
I didn't really get an answer out of Matthias because he was understandably focused on the bigger and, it's a kind of important thing, but the other important thing, so before that, to talk?
We are definitely something.
Excellent. Realistically, that was about what I figured would end up getting to anyway. So, congratulations on your something. Mazel tov.
Thanks. I thank you for the list. Made things rather simple.
Well, I mean, as you saw now, and as you are, words hard, talking hard. Written things good.
That's certainly true. That's certainly true.
Writing is good for the articulation and the remembering and the not having to say things with your mouth. It's good God.
Well, it certainly works out for you. I'm desperately trying to remember if Craigory has seen Decimal's handwriting yet.
Probably not, because Decimal, I feel like, just will not and does not write things unless it's like, I don't think he has.
Yeah, no, it's only when strictly necessary.
Yeah, exactly. And Craigory is just reading that as a, it's a method that works for Craigory, but okay, so Decimal knows that doesn't, not all elements of this transfer over, and that makes sense. He's not reading that as a, like, writing is physically hard, and it's barely legible, and not efficient for this. No bueno.
Yeah, Lamau. If you have needed me, I'll be around. You have the link, and you have. He makes a gesture at the earring, kind of questioningly.
Yeah. That's one of the nice things about kind of can't and shouldn't leave Halloween Town. It's couldn't go and disappear even if I wanted to. We haven't hit that kind of catastrophe yet.
That's also blatantly false, but yes.
Krieger's not going to quite answer that. He's just going to stand up and be like, oh, thank you, really. And, I'll walk you out, make sure Network doesn't try anything, cap off your fun and busy day.
I'm about ready to vanish for another week, I think.
Ha! Felt that. Understandable. And Craigory, in moving to the door and, like, sees the stairs, and he kind of has a moment of, like, yeah, there should be an alternate access way up here, actually. Work on that.
Plant a tree by your window, I'll make do.
How is climbing a tree easier than stairs? I was thinking some kind of platform lift. Boomer would love that. But frankly, Boomer could build it.
There's just a very deadpan set of jazz hands. When I'm climbing, I don't need to use my leg.
Well, effort? It's still effort. Like, listen, I think it could be a fun project for Boomer anyway. I'll even do everyone the favor of making sure it generally does what it's about meant to, and there's not too many surprises with it.
I'll take this dice.
Slide, maybe. Okay. Slide down. That's an idea. Craigory's now
No,
brainstorming.
worse. Do not put a slide in here.
Could just make it Boomer and Rye sized if you really. You don't have to use the slide. You don't have to use anything I make here. So they're walking down.
You say that as if you fitting it would then prevent Network from not giving me the choice.
Real. Right. Decimal can see Craigory's not. The slide is heavily appealing, even if only for Boomer and Ryan. He's looking at the walls as they're moving down. He's making plans.
You could probably fit a slide on the outside. But do make it just sized for the small ones.
I'll just have to sort of scrunch down to reuse it myself then. It's all good.
I thought you had enlarge reduce.
See, Why can't I just the opposite? I mean, yes, but that kind of takes you past child size. It's actually more Pip sized. Actually, you know what? The tree would be a good idea for Pip as well. Pip can you always use enrichment. Yeah, okay, so tree, slide, water slide. There we go. Yes, okay.
Dear God, I've given you ideas.
Listen. Need something not coming to mind, okay? Like, this is good. Trust me, trust the process. This is going to be good.
So long as it doesn't blow up. That is the bare minimum that I ask. I don't want to have to dodge a point-blank explosion again.
Solemnly swear that between Boomer and I, nothing will explode. I frankly don't want to be caught point blank in explosion again either. So there we go. There's a guarantee.
Right. Well, I will leave you to plan in peace then.
We'll do. Thank you again. Congratulations again.
Yes. He's gonna walk the fuck off.
Yep. He has been escorted off the premises without, incident or issue.
He's hit his threshold for emotional conversations for the rest of the fucking month.
Disappears for a week.
Yep.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
This is good. Craigory's been handed a project, and frankly, he needs a project.
Now help him work through his feelings and shit.
Yeah. Surely that'll incidentally happen along the way. The project is priority, clearly, yes. Tuck that little card away, yes. Good. Good to have.
Well, if Craigory says he's gonna work on it, then Destiny will, perhaps foolishly, trust him on this. And if he turns out to be wrong, there will be hell to pay. That's for later.
That's for later. It's not a no. And with that, I think fade out.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening, everyone. Stopping the recording.